everybody, and welcome to another episode of This Week in Real Estate, hosted by yours truly. I'm Ray. I'm a bearded man of real estate. And this is a weekly news show for real estate. So if you're in the real estate industry or around the real estate industry and you want to know what the heck is happening and why, you've tuned into the right place. We also have people all over the world that are watching live on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Kick, Twitch. They're everywhere. And if you're watching on any of those platforms, you can comment. I can display your comment. Just like Olivier. Let's see, who was first today? Oh, Scap was first. Scap several minutes ago said, I have nothing better to do than wait. Thanks for waiting on the show. And he said, just waiting and deciding how I'll tell a client if they need that they need therapy. Nice. He did mention the changes in appraisals, and we had a little bit of a pre-show discussion on that with on Clubhouse. So we will be talking about that on a future show. Scam. Olivier is also in the comments. He said, Zillow a dumpster? That almost seems like a scandal. Yeah, if you're curious what he's talking about, it's the thumbnail. I'm proud of the thumbnail, even though I had a lot of help with AI to create it. It's kind of difficult to create a dumpster of property photos, and we'll get into why that is the case. So interesting. Let's see who else is over there on YouTube. Matt LaMarche. Look at that. He's here. Thanks for coming, Matt. I appreciate you being there. We're also broadcasting on Clubhouse. You can find us there in the Real Estate Networking Club, or Real Estate Networking House, I think they call it now. Just go there, find the This Week in Real Estate Live, and you can add your voice to the podcast, which hopefully you guys will hear some during the show. Other people chiming in and talking about what is happening in their markets. So without further ado, let's just dive right in. Oh, man. As soon as I do that, I get a call. So this is one of those. Oh, I found out what's that. Some of you have been asking, like, why aren't your calls getting blocked? It's because some of the, I guess it's a lead source or whatever. They will just pelt you multiple times. And I have my do not disturb set on right now that if somebody calls like 5 times, it will say, all right, what? And it'll ring me. So that's why that's happening. I found out though. So I just muted them. Hopefully it won't happen again. We'll see. All right. So Zillow. Zillow is pulling their CoStar copywritten listing photos off of the website. So this article is over on Broke Agent Media. And if you recall, there was a battle. I guess it was a short-lived battle. Basically, CoStar had hired all these photographers to go around and take photos of property listings, businesses, and such. And Zillow was like, oh, thank you guys for doing that. We'll just use those over on our website. And they had the CoStar logo watermark on them. And the way Zillow crops on their website, it was actually cropping out that watermark unless you expanded it to see the whole thing. So it looks like Zillow lost this battle. What changed this week? Zillow began removing the disputed images and alerting partners that more removals were coming. As first reported by Real Estate News, the company has not admitted to wrongdoing and has not yet filed its official response to the CoStar complaint. So CoStar filed a legal complaint, and Zillow hasn't even responded yet. That's interesting. CoStar's complaint says Zillow displayed nearly 46,000 photos. They're viewed more than 250,000 times. This number still shocks me. I feel like it should be way higher than that, especially since I probably have a couple of hundred photos on Google. I'm an official Google guide. And Google's telling me all the time, like, your photos have been viewed millions of times. Congratulations. So I feel like that should be more. Like, why is it 46,000 photos, only 250,000 times? That's not good news for Zillow, in my opinion. Anyway, it also appeared on Redfin and Realtor.com through listing or syndication agreements. So CoStar characterizes the case as one of the largest image infringements in history and suggests damages could top $1 billion. $1 billion for 250,000 views. What is that? We're going to do some maths. 250,000. Well, first I want to know, what is the average view per photo? So you have 46,000 photos. That's an average of around 5.5 views per photo. Okay. And then you have $1 billion. So that's 1 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0. Is that right? 1 billion. I think I accidentally hit a zero wrong. Hang on. 1 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0 0. That's a billion. 1 billion divided by 46,000. That is $21,739 per photo. What? And then if we divide that by 5.5, right? Shouldn't we get the per view is 3,952? Is that right? $3,952.57 per view. That seems like a lot. Like, what are the damages? That seems like a lot. It also reports that most of the images were from multifamily rental listings, and that the CoStar logo was sometimes obscured or cropped. Almost every time it was obscured or cropped. Because Zillow syndicates Redfin and Realtor.com, some disputed photos surfaced there. I wonder how do you go after Redfin? I guess you do. Redfin and Realtor have already removed them, is my understanding. Zillow, company for Zillow, calls the takedowns a routine litigation procedure. CoStar, on the other hand, takes a different view. In an email, Gene Boxer, CoStar general counsel, suggested, "We caught red-handed. Some companies issue apologies, but Zillow tries to hide its wrongdoing." When caught red-handed, some companies issue apologies. Zillow tries to hide it. Before CoStar sued, Zillow knowingly displayed tens of thousands of CoStar's watermarked photos and monetized them on its rental platform and partner network. We look forward to holding Zillow to account for this mass infringement. How are they going to attribute the monetization of these photos? Because let's say there was a rental agreement hashed out with a multifamily unit. How much of that rental agreement would have gone back to CoStar? Nothing, right? So it's not in the value of the rental agreement. It's in the value of what they can charge the real estate agent for exposure on their website. I'm confused at where the money is. Where's the money? Feel free to chime in. How's Zillow making money on a display? I guess because Zillow can sell the lead, but Zillow's selling a lead that CoStar wouldn't have sold because CoStar doesn't sell leads, right? So it's not that Zillow is making money that CoStar would have made. It's that Zillow's making money at all. Is that right? This is very strange. It's very strange. I am open to comments on this because I don't see how you calculate damages. I'm having a real hard time calculating damages other than the cost of the photos multiplied out. What are the damages? All right. That's not the only company that Zillow is working with right now. BHHS agents now get access to Zillow's Showcase listings in a new partnership. So Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Zillow's new listing Showcase is, for those of you who don't know, it's a way for real estate agents to pay Zillow and to get some kind of premium listing tools on their listing on Zillow. So you could do like a floor plan and higher definition, higher resolution photography. And I think you get some special placement in the search results, perhaps. You could do a 3D tour that with a special Zillow 3D tour program. I signed up for Zillow Showcase. It was too much trouble, man. I had to have a photographer that was a Zillow Showcase photographer in order to use it. And so I didn't have a photographer that was going to do that, and I couldn't find one willing to do it. So I took the test for Zillow, and I became a Zillow Showcase photographer so that I could take my photographer stuff and upload it on the Zillow Showcase platform. They also sent me it looked like a mouse pad with a QR code that I'm supposed to put in the floor as I do a 360 tour. The only problem is I use Matterport for 360 tours, and they were not, I would have to do 2 different 360 tours. So that also took way longer than I had hoped. I tried one, it just didn't work out for me. So those are 2 features that I wouldn't use. And then on the floor plan issue, the builders I have were like, no, I don't really want to share a floor plan. We pay a lot of money for those things, and I don't want them up there necessarily. So some builders would, but some of the other builders I work with are like, nah, I pay a lot of money for that. So the 3 primary reasons, other than the additional exposure maybe, that people could use the Showcase platform for was just not working for me. So I didn't use it. I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on it. The Berkshire Hathaway folks get it for free. Agents have quickly embraced Zillow Showcase. Really? That's not what I've heard. All the friends that I have that have used Zillow Showcase said they did not embrace it. They kicked it to the curb after 3 to 6 months. Matt Lamarche says check over on Facebook. Are you checking in response to what I just said? Are you checking that you have another social media that you're watching on checked off as a view counted?
Yes. If you go to the Instagram comments, you'll see. But yeah, I'm checking the box. I'm checking in proof of life, something to that effect.
That's funny.
But, yeah.
Oh yeah, Matt Lamarche is over there, and Matt Farrell is over there on the Instagram.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have any comment on this.
Sure. Have you used the Zillow Showcase platform?
I have not, and one of the first agents that I saw use it here, and I don't know if they were actually one of the first ones. You know, I don't spend a ton of time, believe it or not. But one of the very first agents, I believe, here in Atlanta that was using it was like, "Oh, Matt, you got to use it." Blah 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 blah. They're sending me all these great reports and the numbers and the views and the saves and everything else is like 10x. And I'm like, "And you're getting that via email?" She's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "And you don't think they're manipulating that information?" Interesting.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
they would never do that.
No.
He says sarcastically. So I don't know. I've never used it. I honestly wanted to make it through my entire real estate career without having paid anyone for a platform to generate leads. I'm not saying that it doesn't work, and if it works for you, that's amazing, and I'm so proud of you. But for me, it's just not in my business plan. It's not in my. It's not
How can you afford a Porsche if you're paying Zillow? You know,
obviously, Gatsby.
Obviously.
Oh
wait, I have news.
It's more of a principle thing.
So you guys that are in the comments over on Clubhouse, I can never read these, but I happened to look down right as one popped up across the screen. I'm not going to say your name unless you tell me to, but she says, we don't get it for free. Maybe the company does, but they pass along a price to us. Interesting. Okay. Good work. Investigative journalism live. What's that, Mike? I saw you unmute.
Yeah, I did Showcase for about 6 months, probably about maybe a month or 2 after it first launched. And I never saw the numbers that they were talking about. At the time, I think it was like 67% more views and stuff like that. And it was nowhere near that. In fact, I might argue that it was probably a little bit lower. I think I had 3 or 4 listings that I used it on, and the added benefit was not impressive. The only plus was, if somebody wants to see the property, it goes straight to you versus to one of their flex or their other agents. So
yeah, I could see the little my listing, my lead, but now you got to pay for it. So it's not really your listing; you're paying them for it. Right?
Yeah. The prices have come down. I think I did talk to them a few months ago, but I wasn't impressed.
Interesting.
Your mileage may vary.
It's a great way to put it. Influencer morons. Maybe. Dave Ramsey calls out real estate influencer morons for this red flag advice. This was for all of Dave Ramsey's call outs to be carried on Broke Agent Media, this one was perhaps the lightest. He calls out people all the time and calls them names and stuff. And this one was not as, I don't know, just wasn't as hard hitting. I don't think we can, I'm just going to read it because, take down notices and stuff. Can y'all hear that? I don't think y'all can hear that. He says that people who say passive income on real estate are morons. There's nothing passive about real estate. It's active. Then he goes on to compare it with a mutual fund and says mutual funds are passive. I just get a statement in the mail saying this is what you made, but real estate is passive, is not passive. Okay. That was it pretty much. I saw this posted several different places. And I don't know if people are just using Dave for the clicks and trying to get hey, you should look at this. But there were several people that told me about it. I'm like, man, do y'all watch Dave Ramsey? Like, he's calling people out all the time that do stupid stuff. The way more stupider than this. He was one of the people that called out the date the rate. What was it? Marry the house, date the rate. He's like, no, that is not a good idea. So, I mean, yes, Dave does call out influencers that are saying real estate is passive, but this is minuscule compared to what I would encourage you. If you liked that, check out Dave. Some people hate his advice. Some people love his advice. I think it's pretty good advice. I mean, it's get out of debt stuff. He's not really big into leveraging OPM, other people's money, because he got taken to the woodshed for doing that back in 2007. Doesn't want to do that again. So there you go. All right. Next up, Compass hires former NAR lead attorney as it doubles down on legal battles. This is one of the most fascinating stories today for me. So the lead attorney that was the lead on the Sitzer Burnett lawsuit representing NAR, Compass hires him. Does anyone else find this extremely interesting? I feel like I wonder if he's going to be the lead counsel. Second, I wonder if they're hiring him so that the NAR can't. Because now they have to basically start all over with other counsel. But what's most fascinating to me is that the guy lost like billions for NAR and the brokerages associated with NAR. Why hire him? It blows my mind. I'm sure there are reasons. Supposedly, he can't use all the insider info that he has for being their counsel. He has to separate himself for that. I wonder if a judge is going to be like, no, that's too close, man. You can't go after the person that you were just representing. Almost like dual agency, but backwards. It's fascinating to me. Anyway, we'll read a little bit about it. Compass announced Tuesday that it hired a new chief legal officer as part of its doubling down on confrontations with some of the biggest players in real estate. Ethan Glass should be familiar to anyone that followed the biggest stories in the industry over the past 2 years, served as a lead attorney for the National Association of Realtors throughout the Sitzer Burnett trial. Glass represented NAR while serving as a partner of the Silicon-based Valley law firm Cooley LLP, where he was the chair of the firm's antitrust competition. Well, he is the chair of the firm's antitrust and competition practice group, which is exactly what they are suing about. But I don't know. He previously worked at the Department of Justice. That hasn't done any favors for NAR. In announcing Glass's hiring, Compass CEO Robert Refkin indicated that the brokerage would remain focused on its multi-front battle over various policies governing the real estate industry. And it's got statements that we're already familiar with. Where is the legal? Glass's hiring is noteworthy because after representing an NAR and Sitzer lawsuit, he'll work for an organization taking square aim at the trade organization and its rules. This is a reflection that Compass isn't backing down from NAR, and the company is going to double down on seller choice. Company said in a statement, Compass is going to explore every legal avenue to ensure agents and their clients no longer controlled by NAR rules. Agents and clients are no longer controlled by NAR rules. I support that. Aside from his work at the DOJ and NAR, Glass has also been serving as Compass's lead attorney in a case against Northwest MLS while at Cooley. Maybe they just like the work that he's done so far there. However, Glass will still be best known to most real estate professionals for his work on Sitzer Burnett. Yeah. Not a great way to be best known. Home seller plaintiffs prevailed at the trial, which resulted in a jury awarding $1.78 billion in damages. Damages were also set to automatically triple over to $5.3 billion. NAR brokered a $418 million settlement. Maybe that's what they. Maybe that's the part. NAR brokered a $418 million settlement before the big. Maybe he knows how to press their buttons to get them to negotiate and to settle this out of court so that Compass doesn't have to go all the way. Maybe that's the angle. Because it can't be, I want to win in court. I mean, I don't know. I'm unfamiliar with, obviously, with how that kind of stuff works. But it would seem like if you have a big loss as an attorney, that's going to sting for a little bit until you get another big win. And then you can point to the big win. But maybe that's just because I'm a real estate agent. That's kind of how we think, right? You lose a big listing, somebody else grabs it and then sells it right away. You're like, damn, that feels like crap. But as soon as you take a listing from somebody and then sell it right away, you're like, oh, yeah. Okay, back on top. I don't know. It's interesting. We'll see what happens with it. I think this is the last T story before we get into the econ stuff. It's going to be really brief because it's kind of a puff piece. Over on Inman, the puff piece on KW continues. This CMO wants to make Keller Williams the Nike of real estate. The Nike of real estate, they said in her first interview with Inman. She shares the key to creating the brand that's timeless yet timely. That's really all that's in here. They did talk about this spin that Nike did that I didn't think was very good. And the spin is Nike in one NFL games last night changed their tagline to "Why do it?" It's an amazing commercial, and it's another proof point of how the brand is thinking about performance, its product relevance, its culture today, in a way that keeps it honest. Interesting. So there you go. Watch for brand changes at KW, and hopefully it'll go smoother than it has for NAR. Back on Dave Ramsey. What's it worth? Appraisals. Scap says, I may be biased, but an appraiser's advice is way more accurate than Dave. Just saying. Kind of depends on what it is, Just because you're an appraiser doesn't mean you have good, sound advice. You could advise on the value of a property. Let's limit the scope. I mean, maybe you would rather Scap be your caddy than Matt LaMarche, but
if you want to lose, yeah.
Scap says, why you got to cut me? I'm just saying, let's limit. I'm not going to say all appraisers are going to give you better advice than Dave Ramsey. Some of Dave's stuff's pretty good. People take stuff he says out of context and they're like, look at Dave. And there's automatically people that don't like him because he's religious, but his actual advice is pretty good. All right, y'all ready to talk about the econ? I used to have these little buffers and stuff. I need to bring it back. Bring back the buffers. All right, share this tab instead. Here we go. No buffer, just news. U.S. homeowner population stops growing for the first time in nearly a decade. Ouch. The homeowner population, not population in general. But that's kind of to be suspected over the last several years when prices were crazy high and now rates are high. By comparison, the total number of renter households rose 2.6% to an estimated 46.4 million. So the red chart is estimated homeowner households year-over-year change. And the blue chart is estimated renter households year-over-year change. So you can see and there was a spike in 2021. There was a spike in the rental. Oh, I like look how on the left side it tracks. It's almost like it's a stacked chart, but it's not. It's tracking where I am over there too by comparison. So you can see the natural ebb and flow. When the renter households go down, the owner households go up. And right now the rental households are going up. The last time rental households started spiking, and it wasn't even this much, they went up 5% in 2015. That's interesting. They went up 5% in 2012 and 5% in 2007. Currently, they're at 2.6%. And it looks like there have been some ebb and flows up to 2.6% and then down again. So as rates drop, I would probably think that would drop as well. American homeowner population is no longer growing because rising home prices, high mortgage rates, and economic uncertainty have made it increasingly difficult to own a home. Chin Zhao, Redfin's head of economics and research. People are getting married and starting families later, which means they're buying homes later, which may be another factor at play. They've been doing that for years, though. So I don't know if we can directly call that factor. But yeah, there's the inverse line. So you can clearly see home ownership rate and rentership rate. All right, next up, here are the markets where home buyers have the upper hand. So these are the markets where if you're currently renting, you might want to reconsider. Miami, Austin, Texas, Orlando, Florida, New York, Jacksonville. Oh, wait, hang on. It says Miami, the city, Austin, the city, Texas, but it's saying Austin, Texas. So it's kind of confusing. Orlando, Florida, New York, Jacksonville, Florida, Tampa, Florida, and Riverside, California. Those are the ones. Strong buyers markets with inventory ranging between 6.1 months and 9.7 months. Los Angeles is at 5. Denver's at 4.9. Portland, Oregon is at 5.1. That fell in the middle. Meanwhile, Milwaukee is at 2.7. St. Louis, 2.9. Grand Rapids, Michigan, 2.9. And Boston, 3 are strong sellers markets. So if you're in those markets, consider buying. Those are the ones that we've been talking about, and agents have been telling us, it's hard. It's a tough time in Miami, Austin, Orlando, New York, Jacksonville, Tampa, Riverside. I've heard from agents in all of those markets talking about how difficult it is right now to sell a house, which means as a buyer, these are the markets to play in. Signs of a cooling market are evident in demand side indicators, the report said, and rising delisting rate suggests that sellers are increasingly unwilling to accept current market prices or conditions, pulling their homes from the market instead. The ratio of delisting to new listings is a metric that captures the flow of homes in and out of the market, climbed to 0.25 in July. This means that for every 100 new listings that came onto the market, 24 previously listed homes were removed without selling. This pullback could be downward pressure on inventory later in the year, reducing the buyer choice, even as market momentum slows. So that pullback, whenever buyer options are reduced, could also stabilize home prices, which is the ebb and flow of supply and demand. For those of you wondering what to do, because you do have clients that are getting pre-approved now, and we'll talk about why in just a second, but yet you're seeing a 2 months ago, there were a lot of homes on the market. Now there are fewer homes on the market because people are just delisting their properties. This is a wonderful time for you to work expired listings, because these are sometimes people that still want to sell, maybe would have taken less. They just don't want to list it down there. They want to negotiate. So by contacting the expired listings, you're able to find off-market properties for your buyers. Strongly recommend it. Olivier said expires are up 10% here. Wow. Nice. Actives are up 10% and new listings too. That's interesting. Have you seen an increase in the price reductions while on market, Olivier? We're sitting around 40 something percent, which is kind of normal in our market.
So there's something in our market that skews the stats a lot. Is people, instead of doing a price reduction, will cancel their listing, put it back on as a brand new one, and then sell it in 5 days. I did it with one of my listings. It wasn't selling at all at 669. I lowered it to 627, and I sold it at 650 as a brand new listing. So basically, my days on market will be 4 days or 5 days, whatever it was, instead of 2.5 months. So in the stat, it's not going to look bad, but it took me 2.5 months isn't bad to sell a listing in the normal market, but but it's still skewed the stats, because you look at the delays, it's under a month to sell a listing, but a lot of them are expired, relisted at a lower price by the same agent, so they sell quickly. But no, sales are up 10%. Inventory is up 10%. Inventory has been going up since the beginning of the year. We're at the highest level in 5 years, but the market is good, but it depends on very micro local data. Like that street or that neighborhood will not sell well, but the other neighborhood will.
Yeah.
But condos in that city won't sell, but they'll sell in another part too. So it's a really weird market, I find.
Yeah, we're seeing that too. There's very localized, what am I trying to say? Very localized effects, I guess you could say, of the market, where this house would sell, this house won't sell. And the reason is because what the seller's willing to do or what the buyer wants. It's very specific to the home right now in our market. Yeah, I just checked. We are at 40% on the price decreases right now. Median days on market is at 70. Average days on market is at 100. So that is a lot higher than it used to be. It got down during the pandy to, it says the median days were down to, well, that's not all the way back. That's just 2025. It got down to like 20 and 30 during the pandy. So a far cry from that. Let me go back to this. Where was the article that we were just talking about? Here it is. The sales slowdown is most pronounced in the South and West, with the median days on market in each region increasing 8 days, compared to 3 days in the Midwest, 2 in the Northeast. 27 of the top 50 metros are now seeing listings linger longer than their pre-pandy averages, with the sharpest slowdowns in Nashville, 21 days, and Miami, 16 days. So Scap says, I'm getting a ton of private appraisal work from consumers that want a second opinion on their listing. Interesting. So these are people that currently have it listed or are about to list, Scap?
No, it's reality. I mean, look, there's especially here in the Atlanta area, I'm not sure with Matt, but that's what I'm getting a lot of my work from right now is because there's so much on the market and people are, listening to their agents and they're pricing it accordingly. And here it is, but then it's not selling, and you're 10 days in, 20 days in, 30 days in, and people are like, well, what the hell? And then I come in, they want to get an appraisal done, see where they are in the marketplace and see what's going on out there. And most of my conversations are with these clients that I have, or so, look, here's the value of your home. You're not far off. It's not like you're priced too high. It's the fact that you're competing with everybody out there right now, and you either need to be first or you're going to be last. So do you really need to sell?
All right, Ricky Bobby.
Or do you, or are you just kind of like, you know what, we want to sell, but we don't need to sell, but we're okay if we don't. And if you need to sell, well, then you're going to have to beat everybody else out there because there's so much competition out there. So, I mean, I'm seeing a lot of this going on in different various markets in my area. But most of the listings that I'm seeing, I mean, they're not far off from what I'm appraising them at. You know, there's a couple that have been, you know, way higher, and there's been some that are just like right there. And then there's a couple that are like, wow, you're actually priced lower than what I think, but you're in competition with everybody. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the problem that everybody's dealing with, is that there's just so much out there and everybody's waiting, or they're just not willing to pull the trigger.
You know what, this is exactly what I just told my agents yesterday. I sent them a message and said, hey, one of the things I'm noticing, previously we would do a comparative market analysis for people. And when we did that comparative market analysis, we give them a short range. It's pretty tight. We give them a pretty tight range, saying like, hey, you know, based on a pricing strategy, you could price on this 9. Like, I'm just going to make something up, like 369.9. Because they could sell at 365, right? But 365 and 369 in a buyer's mind, there's not that much different, but you could price on the 9s and it sounds cheaper sometimes. So 369.9. And then we would say the bottom end of this range to sell at maybe a faster pace would be a 364.9 or 359.9. Now I've instructed our team to start letting people know that, you know, we used to say this, given this current market, we think probably the top price you should start at is what we think the actual sale price might be, the 349.9 or 359.9. And there's really no more room for playing the market above what it would actually sell for. And that change happened fast here. It happened real fast. So although we're getting sale prices that show they could go higher, we're instructing our clients to be smarter about that and to choose a lower pricing strategy.
You know, Ray, that's kind of what I'm doing with my appraisals these days. Is I've always done this. I've always given a what I call the adjusted range of value when I'm actually adjusting for comps and everything, and I give a low to high. But now I'm kind of looking more at the market trends and seeing where things are going, and kind of telling them, you know, hey, look, this is where you are. Here's the low, here's the high. You're in between somewhere here is what I think. Doesn't mean that you can't get more, you know, obviously. Doesn't mean that you may get a little bit less than this. But it all comes down, where are you really, you know, happy with? And what is the number that you're happy with, and the number that you need to get in this transaction for you to be able to sell your house and walk away from it and be like, okay, I'm good. You know, so I'm kind of giving them those you know, that range and saying, here's where you're going to be between. But however, in my opinion, and look, I'm not a real estate agent, but I'm just saying as an appraiser, in my opinion, if you're looking to sell quick, well, then look at these active listings that I'm giving you in my report. I'm starting to give them listings and pendings and saying, look, these are what pending right now, and these are the listings, and this is what you're competing against. You may have to come down a little bit more if you need to sell right away. But if you can wait, well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And I don't necessarily think waiting is going to make it go up much. You know, I always tell people that if you want to sell, now's the best time to sell. If you need to move. If you don't need to move, it's probably not a good time, because you're going to have to go through a bunch of trouble getting your house ready and getting it right and all that stuff. And it's just not going to be great. Andy Rose is in the comments. What's up, Andy? He says, can't be on today since in Florida, but Compass hiring an old NAR attorney is absolutely wild. See, that's what I said. He said, considering mostly the NAR and their attorneys didn't take the lawsuit seriously or argue well enough for realtors. I agree. Andy, I have a special photo posted just for you too.
I didn't realize Florida didn't have internet access.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Florida's not winning a lot lately.
Oh, bring back buffers. Okay, so I have a listing that we're kind of working with these sellers because they. So she actually came by an open house that one of my advisors had open for one house that I had listed that was my listing, and she sent me a message and she's like, "Hey, so we also have a house in the same neighborhood. We went by the listing, or we went by the open house." And really think that you did a great job there. We're thinking about talking with you about selling our house, blah blah blah. I was like, all right, so cool. So we started this conversation. She goes, I mean, it's novels over here, and my like one response because it's very obvious to me what's going on. But she sent me the address, so I pull it up, and I'm like, okay, so they put it on the market in the middle of April, basically, 480. And this is out in Dallas, Georgia. So, I mean, Dallas for 480 is like a pretty solid price point. It's not the cheapest house in Dallas, and it's definitely not the most expensive. But it's a nice kind of entry level, 350 to 500 is like the entry level there. So 480, 4799 to your earlier point there. And then they ended up removing it 3 months later, almost to the day, at 449. And so I asked her, I was like, hey, so I saw the listing history here. Like, why do you think it didn't sell in the spring? Like, I mean, you had basically half of April, May, June, and then all of July. What happened? And she goes, well, there were 6 other homes there, and those were all in the low 4s because that's when mine was listed there as well. We listed ours at 400, and we got 400, but we didn't have multiple offers. It was a great house. It was move-in ready, and we sold it in 4 days, basically. I mean, we went pending in 4 days. So I asked her, why do you think it did so? Well, it just, there's a lot of 2-story houses in this general area and obviously in this neighborhood, and we just need something that's going to make it stick out. And I'm like, yeah, price will do that. Price will help
every
it
time
stick out.
It's going to stick
like
out.
$25,000, $50,000 in price reductions isn't going to do anyone good over the course of 90 days. There's people, but just so you know, sellers that are listening to this, all those buyers that are in the car with me or that I meet at your house that say this house is overpriced, all they're saying is you're unreasonable. That's literally all they're saying.
And they don't even want to. They don't even want to go in. They're, you're hoping that they'll go in, fall in love with the house, and make an offer. Just make any offer. Just give me anything to work with. But they're not even thinking about it because they think you're so unreasonable.
Yeah. So anyway, uphill battle here because our house is unique and it is worth. Oh, and we did get an offer, but they wanted $15,000 in closing costs, and we were only willing to give them $5,000.
Wow, take that deal.
Yeah, I mean,
man,
maybe you should have just taken it.
We're similarly, Matt. We got a call from someone that, hey, maybe they're watching the show. They were previously listed with an agent that did a terrible job on photos, terrible job on marketing. They're listed under the average price per square foot in the neighborhood already, but the house was not in good shape. It needed carpet. It needed stuff. It needed flooring. I mean, so the guy changes the flooring and then calls us like, well, what now? Should I lower the price all the way? I'm like, well, we don't know. It's impossible to tell. So we always tell clients that there are 4 things that cause a property to sell: price, condition, location. All of you guys have heard that. But then the fourth one is the professional presentation of your property to the marketplace. Without professional photos, without like at least a chance on the market at being marketed well, then we don't really know. And because you've updated photos, because you've updated the flooring, you've made some updates and upgrades to the house since it was previously listed, we're telling them just go on the market as average. There are 2 other properties on the market in the neighborhood that are still listed above him and haven't sold too. So we understand some of it's market timing. We understand some of it is the agent not marketing the property well, and that could lead to lower price points. But once the property is marketed well, then you can make a decision based on price very quickly. Like if it doesn't move in the first week, you know what to do. And so that's pretty much the tack that we're going to with expired listings. We're trying to figure out like, well, what did the person do beforehand? But price is going to make up for all of it. Price will make up for bad condition. Price will make up for bad agent. Price will make up for poor photos. Unfortunately, that means that the agent you hire is more important than ever, because if they're putting poor photos on there, and maybe they are listing at what it should sell for, it's not going to happen. And the proof is in the pudding. We've done this several times where we take over a property, we relist it at the same price, or maybe just a little bit higher than what the previous agent had it. And because we're actually doing really good high resolution professional photography, a wonderful write-up of the property, we're filling out all the forms completely, it's easier for people to sell. And then boom, it sells and goes under contract. So we've got several reviews like that on our Google. So it can mean the agent that you're working with. But for probably 90% of people, because if you think about the top 20% of agents doing 80% of the work, then for about 80% of the people that are out there, it's going to be a pricing issue. Because if the top 20 agents are there doing what they should do, it's not an issue of the agent. It's an issue of, your home is overpriced or it's in terrible condition, one of the two.
Well, she did further go on, my potential client here did go further on to say that it was the agent's fault.
Yeah.
And I was like, I mean,
could be. Sometimes I did have somebody contact me, and they had a really wonderful agent, and I knew they were a good agent. They know what to do. They're wonderful at negotiating, and I enjoy, once I'm under contract with them, I enjoy working with them. I don't like negotiating with them because they don't give up much. And they're like, well, we're currently listed with this agent, and they're just not getting it done. And I was like, man, this is a headache waiting to happen. Like, they're just hoping to get rid of this really good agent who's probably been advising them that they're way overpriced. So I put a condition on it. I said, well, I'll take it if you'll drop your price $30,000. And they're like, that's what our current agent's telling us to do. I'm like, yeah, you should take her advice. Just drop it and sell it. And yeah. They're like, I can't believe you'd say that without seeing the property. I'm like, the numbers are the numbers. I know this neighborhood really well. I know the property really well. I don't need to see it to tell you. And they're like, well, our agent's been trying to do that, and that's why we're looking for another agent. I was like, no, take their advice. So
yeah.
Sometimes,
well, and to your point, I was going to say, to your point, it's one of three things typically, right? It's marketing, it's price, well, four things, I guess: location and condition. And I mean, in my opinion, there are, I think, and I'm sure Scap has seen a lot of this, a lot of the overpriced listings, at least here in Atlanta, are in terrible condition. And I don't mean that they're, torn up and the flooring needs to be replaced and the whole house has to be repainted. I'm just saying there was one I went to today, and I'm like, I can't believe this is on the market. Like, I would never present this house in this condition, and a lot of people, I guess, just aren't willing to have that conversation or broach that. Which, to me, the price and the condition are one and the same in terms of how you attack that as an objection. But anyway.
Yeah, you're correct. You're correct. Who may help? Trump. Trump vows to expand homeownership. It's terrible. Trump vows to expand homeownership to millions more American families. Days after floating the possibility of taking emergency measures to address the housing crisis, President Trump has promised to put homeownership back into reach for those that are priced out of the market. Under the Trump administration, we believe that affordable homeownership is a fundamental part of the American dream. And we're working every day to make the dream a reality for millions and millions of Americans. The president said in a video remarks. Oh, that's interesting. That was actually the president's words. I was like, this is Caroline Leavitt. To the Department of Housing and Urban Development, sent on the National Mall on Monday. Together we could put millions more American families in a home of their very own, he added. They'll be great houses. Trump's comments come as affordability. I can't read all of a sudden. Trump's comments come as affordability is the multi-decade low, and the share of population of homeowners is shrinking that we just talked about. Who is raising their hand to come up here? I don't see them anymore. Oh, what's up,
Jack? I got him. Yeah, something happened. Scap got kicked down. I don't know if Jack was up here earlier, but he may have gotten kicked down. Sorry, moderator failed.
We kick Scap when he's down all the time.
Okay. Just because he's not an agent.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
What's up, Jack?
So the challenge in whether it's affordability or availability is that more people want to live in smaller regions, which are usually maxed out with buildings, which in turn create market factors which keep putting prices up. I mean, I love the sentiment of trying to fix this, but when you've got everybody wanting to live near these, metro markets or coastal markets or whatever it is, I mean, there's plenty of affordable houses in the country. It's
That's
just
exactly
nobody
right.
wants to live there.
You know what? I completely agree with you, Jack. And I was telling this to someone on the phone the other day. They're like, what are we going to do with all these affordable houses? I said, we're going to do what people used to do. They used to move. People would be like, well, I'd love to live there, but I can't afford to live there. So I'm going to go live over here. But instead, people are paying crazy rent prices, which is just nuts. Scott says, laugh all you want. Y'all know I bring killer content and laughs. I should do a poll one day about scam. So Trump goes on to say, we're slashing permitting delays and eliminating a record number of costly regulations. Builder friend of mine, developer, we were talking about this, and he said that his lot prices are crazy right now because of the cost to develop a lot is insane due to all the red tape and everything they have to jump through to develop that lot. Another builder developer was looking at a lot and calculating the cost to develop, and it would add $100,000 to the cost of the house that he would put on there, which would mean the house would be priced out of the market there. And he was like, well, that's why that lot's sitting there, because there's nothing you can do because of red tape. He could cut it by $100,000 in red tape. Trump said, we took over the worst inflation in the history of our country, and we've beat it, bringing down mortgage rates, reducing energy costs, and unleashing incredible economic growth like this country has never seen before. The most growth, the best growth. Let's see if there's anything else on here. The question is how. I mean, that's the number one question. How are we going to do it? He says he's going to, that's basically the only tool he has besides the Fed is the permitting delays and cutting the red tape. Is it enough to work? I don't know. That's hopefully it is, but I think that's probably like 3 or 4 years down the road that all that is going to come to fruition. The fastest thing could be to lower the rate, which is supposed to be done on September 17th, which will be next week. We'll cover it live here on the show. But also, those prices are already priced into the market now. So everyone knows that he's going to lower rates. And so that's already priced in. So get the rate today in the market today. Let's see. Scott Turner. Scott Turner said, we know that the real long-lasting answer to America's housing issue lies with the private sector innovation. And what we're encouraging, said Hughes, is that's the purpose of this showcase, to highlight how the skill, drive, and creativity of innovators working in the free market engine of our country's success and the key to driving down home costs. Alternative materials would be a huge help. And lenders that would loan to homes that are built with alternative materials would be absolutely stunning for the market. That's the hard part. Metal buildings are really great. To get a lender to lend on a home that's built in a fashion of metal buildings is very difficult. I've sold several. It's not easy. Now there are some lenders that are starting to do it, but we need more of that kind of stuff. And I've shown you guys the block before, the block style building. I think that's the ticket. All right, let's keep going. Mortgage rates fall to the lowest average in nearly a year. Yeah, look at the real estate agent in this photo. Is like, guys, we gotta buy. Every change in mortgage rates, even the slightest, is noticed by prospective home buyers, and the latest drop is likely no exception. Rates have fallen to their lowest average since October 2024, with the 30-year fixed rate averaging 6.5% this week. Woohoo! This widens the pool of buyers who can afford to purchase a home and may bring some sellers into the market, said Jessica Lutz, the deputy chief economist at the National Association of Realtors. This week's average rate of 6.5% of home buyers could see their monthly mortgage payment drop to $2,023, assuming 20% down payment on a $400,000 note. Earlier this month, when rates averaged 6.72%, that was at $2,232. So compared to the beginning of the month to now, it's about $200 a month cheaper. That's significant. That's real significant. Have we already covered the? Yes, already covered that. All right, so NAHB calls on Congress to protect energy choice. Y'all know all the appliances and stuff that are being attacked, like your gas range. The NAHB is coming out and saying, no. Among the most pressing regulatory challenges are mandates on energy building codes, appliance standards, and restrictions on fuel choice. While often well-intentioned, these requirements add thousands of dollars to the cost of a home, limit consumer freedom, and take important design and lifestyle decisions out of the hands of American families. NAHB strongly believes that increasing the supply of new single-family and multifamily housing is critical to addressing affordability, but policies that drive up costs limit choice and will only make the problem worse. When mandates impose rigid energy codes and restrict appliance choice, they not only raise costs, but also strip families of those options. So there you go. If you want the coal-fired stove, you should be able to get it. That's probably not healthy. If you want a coal-fired heater in your house, a steam engine heater in your house, you should be able to get it. All right. We've got a couple more news articles here. America's housing market gained $20 trillion in 5 years. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, trillion. 20 trillion. Buying a home has become increasingly pricey over the last 5 years. Now Zillow has put a staggering number to those higher costs. America's housing market climbed 57% since 2020 to a record $55 trillion, which means that in just 5 years, the U.S. housing market's value climbed 20 trillion. Think about all the equity everyone's sitting on. Zillow's findings highlight a housing market that remains historically expensive, with values climbing even as elevated mortgage rates sideline the would-be buyers for more sellers to slash asking prices. Just a note on Zillow's values, they're wildly inaccurate. So, I mean, I guess you could say that they would dollar cost average. You know, they're wildly inaccurate high here, wildly inaccurate low here. So maybe the average is correct. Real estate is cyclical, and we're definitely in a down cycle, said Sharon Ross, a real estate agent in South Florida, recently told CNN. Sellers are getting hit with low offers, and I'm trying to manage their expectations. Yeah, that's what we were talking about earlier. It all goes back to when you tell them, like, this is what your home should sell for. I've had buyers cancel deals after they got the insurance quote. Yeah, insurance is also a big deal. We just published an article on our own blog about that. But while overall buyer demand has faded, new home construction has helped to prop up the housing market values in Sunbelt markets. Zillow found in Texas more than 1/5 of the homes of the market's value gains since 2020 came from newly built homes, the highest share of any state besides Utah. Can we investigate this sentence? How does this happen? Overall buyer demand has faded. Okay. New home construction has helped prop up housing market values. Now, I'm no appraiser, Scab, but do you directly appraise a 2016 home directly to the new construction that's over there being built by D.R. Horton in 2025? I don't think those are direct comparables. At least I would be trying to find similarly aged properties.
Dude, I was so just ready to type. I was starting to type something in about this, and then you just asked me to come in. So I was like, okay, this is even better.
You feel better. Feel better now. Like, take a deep breath.
Yeah, I feel better. I feel better. I don't have to type anything now. No, because this is where like we were talking about earlier about the media and everything gets all skewed and everything. New home construction and new home value. I'm sorry. new home construction and new home values, they mean nothing other than just new home and new construction. You're not going to compare new construction to a home that's built 10, 15, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, or whatever. So
how are new
when they're
new
focusing
construction
on this,
propping up home values? Wouldn't actually
well,
homes gain more in value if there were no new construction, because that means the supply of homes would be less?
I mean, yes and no, but I mean, look, if you have a new home construction complex being built next door to your complex that you have a listing in, that the home is 25 years old, you are not going to compare it to that new home construction, period, end of story.
Yeah,
it's just not going to work that way. So when they prop these stories up, it's skewing what everybody out there is trying to think. Like, it's not reality. It's kind of being skewed. So you have to take into account that, yeah, it's new construction. Oh, new construction is great, and we're building new homes, and these homes are selling for this amount of money and blah 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 blah. But your home that's 25 or even 15 years old in the next subdivision over, or even in the same subdivision, is not going to be compared to that. So you have to kind of realize what's going on.
Maybe what they mean, and I could see this being accurate if they meant it like this, but it's definitely not clear. What it sounds like is, because of new construction, your home values are also kept up, and that's not true in multiple facets. But maybe what they mean is that value in general is gaining because of more housing product. In other words, we had 25 trillion worth of real estate product. There's been an increase of that real estate product. So part of the value comes from turning a lot into a house. And so there's an increase, quote unquote, in overall value, but it's not that a specific home's value is being kept higher because of new construction. It's that the overall market value of homes is higher. Maybe that's what they meant. I could get behind them if that's what they meant.
Maybe that's what they meant, but you still, at this day and age, you still have to decipher what the new home construction is versus old or this, and kind of pick your micro markets and your macro markets and kind of see what's going on. I mean, that's from what they're saying, it's like, hey, my 2017 Honda Santa Fe Sport is worth the same as a 2025 Honda Santa Fe Sport, which is totally unrealistic, but that's what they're saying. But I think it's more of what they're trying to portray out there to get consumer people to think, oh, okay, this is better. Things are better. Like it's kind of like Zillow, very misleading, in my opinion.
You drive a Santa Fe Sport?
I do drive a Hyundai Santa Fe Sport, and guess what? You know what? No, but here's the thing. I bought it. It's a 2017, but here's the great crazy story for you, not to take you off sidetrack here, but I bought it. It was a lease. I bought it with like low mileage, burned a ton of oil after I got it. I got the engine replaced. The engine, I have 120,000 miles on it, and I have 120,000 on the car. I have only about 25,000 on the engine. So
nice.
It's all good.
I just picture you as more of a Subaru Outback guy. Okay, one more article on this. It says new construction has created pockets of affordability across the country. Those are markets that create opportunities for people coming in and looking to get on the first rung of the housing ladder. So it's talking about the affordable construction stuff, the affordable new construction, D.R. Horton, Lennar, that kind of thing. That's very hard. That kind of construction is very hard for anyone locally to compete with. Speaking of lost in value, though, so we just talked about the huge gain in value. These 10 real estate markets have lost $233 billion in value since 2024. I feel like we talked about this a little bit because I recognized this chart, but in Dallas, the loss was 37 billion, Miami, 25 billion, San Francisco, 52 billion. These are markets in which the average values of properties being sold are less than what they were, which could mean there's more low-end sales. It could also mean that homes are dropping in price. So in total, 10 markets that lost the most value between June 2024 and June 2025 saw $233 billion. And here are those metros. So Dallas, Atlanta, hot Atlanta, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Phoenix, Miami, Houston. Where's Austin? Austin. Yeah, Austin for sure. And Denver. And Boston. So there you go. Let's keep it going. I mean, I'm not going to cover that article. It's done. Let's do this one instead. This is this week. Mortgage demand jumps to the lowest. Mortgage demand jumps to the highest level in 3 years as interest rates drop sharply. Uh-oh. Everybody get ready. It's about to get busy. Let's see. A sharp drop in mortgage interest rates finally got some home buyers off the fence. Total mortgage application volume jumped 9.2%. Mortgage rates declined for the second consecutive week as Treasury yields moved lower on data, indicating the labor market is weakening, said Joel Kahn, the Mortgage Bankers Association's economist, in a release, noting that it was the lowest rate since October 2024. The downward movement spurred the strongest week of borrower demand since 2022, with both purchase and refinance applications moving higher. Applications to refi jumped 12%, 34% higher than the same week a year ago. Applications to purchase a home rose 7% for the week and were 23% higher than the same week a year ago. And this is part of the reason why Homebuyer on a $3,000 budget has gained $22,000 in purchasing power. That's cool. So that's a huge gain in purchasing power. Cheaper mortgage payments bring a trickle, not a surge of home buying. Now, this was a couple of days ago, so these are kind of competing. It could be that the rate had dropped, but all the data wasn't in yet. Pending home sales rose 1.6% from a year earlier. Sales aren't surging because it's difficult for many more Americans to afford a home. We are seeing a higher volume of applications than what this article is saying. So it's probably an older article. We'll see what happens. And investors, U.S. investor purchases fell 6% in the second quarter. This is the part I don't understand about investors. Maybe you guys can help me. When the market was hot, piping hot, and people were overpaying for all the houses, look at what was going on with investor purchases. They were skyrocketing. I don't get it. Then when the market is slowing down and cool and home prices are starting to dwindle and you can get a better deal on a home and you're not having to outcompete with somebody and put $100,000 in cash, investors are pulling back. What the heck is happening? Why? This is the exact opposite of how you would play any other market. Why are they playing real estate this way? Is it because they're flipping fast? Maybe these are people that are just buy and sell fast. I wouldn't think so. I think these are buy and hold a little bit. So
I think it's the perspective of being in an increasing market than a possibly perceived decreasing market. Maybe.
Yeah. It's tough for me to comprehend the moves that they're making. And I know sometimes they're doing it on a much larger scale. But investors in general, I mean, now would be the time for investors before all these buyers jump in when the rate changes in a week to get some really good deals on properties that have been sitting for a while. And next week, you may not get those deals because it may be multiple offer scenarios with all the people that are coming back to the market in a hurried fashion. All right. Well, thanks guys for joining me this week. I appreciate it. That's all I got. Oh, that's the wrong. Wait, hang on. That's the wrong one. We have no breaking news this week. That will be next week that we have the breaking news. There you go. That's much more chill. So thanks everybody for joining. You can find me on Instagram. That's Ray Zorback, RayZorback. And we've got a book club. Some people don't know this. If you want to join the book club, you're welcome to. The book we're in, Unreasonable Hospitality, suggested by Andy, who's on he was the guy in Florida that I trolled with the Florida photo. So this is what we're in now. We're starting September 18th with this read. It'll it'll be like 7 weeks that we're going to go through this together. So if you want to do it, just send me a message. That's the easiest way. Send me a message over on Instagram, or you can drop a comment on YouTube and I'll add you to the book club. But all right, thanks everybody. I will see you guys next week.